Tony, what's happening?
Mike, how are you?
Living the dream.
I know we keep running into each other on these satellite interviews. You need to come out to Salt Lake and sit down and do a real interview with me.
You know what? I would love to. I've never had a bad time in Salt Lake City. I've had a weird time, but never a bad one.
Well, that's why it's here. It's a weird place, and we love you out here. When I announced that I was talking with you, I got like 50 emails saying, "Hey, tell Mike Rowe we love him." So there you go.
Well, thank you. Tell him back I love him too.
Well, now I mean you've authored books before, but the New York Times bestseller right now is The Hard Way, or The Way I Heard It.
Yep.
I'm holding it up right now. Terrific book.
Thanks. And it is kind of the hard way. It was not the book that I sat down to write, but as it turns out, it was the book that that wanted to be written.
It's a journey of from there to here, and you've done some remarkable things.
Well, most people who know me or recognize me, it's because of Dirty Jobs. The show's been on for 15 years now. It still airs every day. But before Dirty Jobs, I had maybe 200 jobs in the entertainment business. And like I said, I didn't really sit down to write a memoir. I sat down to put together a collection of the biographical stories on my podcast, these short 8-minute mysteries. But for whatever reason, I blame my mother primarily, who said, "Michael, wouldn't it be more interesting if you shared with your readers the personal reasons why you wrote about the famous people you've never met you chose to write about?" And I thought, yeah, maybe it would. Anyway, that's what I did, and go figure. People seem to like it.
What is, in your career, what is the best advice you've ever gotten from anybody?
I had a lot of good advice. I had a high school music teacher who used to say, "What, not how." The minute you screw something up, it's almost because you ask yourself how you're doing. The better question is focus on what you're doing. I didn't value it much when I heard it, but looking back, it was great advice. My grandfather maybe gave me the best advice of all, when he said, "You can be a tradesman if you want, just get a different toolbox," because the handy gene is recessive. I wanted to follow in his footsteps, but it just didn't come easily to me. But look, I had a grandfather. I had two great parents. I had a grandfather who was just a vending machine of advice, a high school music teacher who changed the trajectory of my career, and Dick Clark, actually, who pulled me aside one day. I hosted a game show once called No Relation, and he was very complimentary, but he said to me one day, he said, "Look, when you go out and you say, 'Hi, everybody, I'm Mike Rowe,' he said, that's wrong. Don't do that. Don't say hi, everybody. You're on TV. It's true, you're talking to a lot of people, but the folks at home, they don't want to be part of everybody. They just want to be them. So just pick one person in your mind and talk to them." And I've been trying to do that.
That really is great advice. That really is pinpoint advice. If for anybody that's coming into this weird business we have, is to talk to one person instead of everyone.
We call it broadcasting, and it makes us think, okay, now we're talking to the masses, but that's really not what it is. That's partly why social media is so engaging, because it gives everybody a chance to broadcast, but it also is it's micro macro. It's very, very big, but it's also very small. And I think that's kind of the trick to what we do, right? You have to reach a lot of people, but you have to do it one at a time.
You know, one of the first jobs I ever had in this business, I was living in Southern California. In Ontario, I was a cameraman at the old Home Shopping Network. And this is when they were doing the auction version, where people would just bid on stuff. But you worked at QVC, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. What year were you doing your thing in Ontario?
Oh, my gosh, it was 70, maybe 74, 75.
Wow. So, yeah, I was 89 on QVC. It was still new. Nobody was quite sure what it was. I had auditioned a couple of days earlier and got an offer because I talked about a pencil for 8 minutes straight. That was the audition in those days. And they put me on live TV for 3 hours at a time to see how I would do talking about objects I had never seen before. And that's what I did for the first 3 months. Then they actually hired me for the next 3 years. I was fired 3 times. They rehired me each time. It's hysterical. But it was a very, very strange time, you know. And looking back, Tony, every useful thing I learned that helped me in this business, I learned in the middle of the night on QVC trying to fill time by talking about products I could neither explain or describe.
Well, that goes into your improv abilities. It goes into, you know, just keeping it going. And I respect and understand that completely, because that takes a different kind of muscle than what most people are used to in this business.
It's strange. And that's why in the old days, nobody knew how to hire a home shopping host. If you hire a salesman, they might not know what they're doing on TV or be uncomfortable on camera. Get somebody who knows TV, that doesn't mean they necessarily know how to sell. I wasn't particularly great at either. I just didn't care. I auditioned to settle a bet. I was singing in the opera at the time, and QVC came to Baltimore doing a national talent search. I just went down to see if I could get a call back to settle a bet. They wound up hiring me on the spot. And, you know, if you look back at your life and you try and find a moment, you know, where everything is connected, it's easy. And that was a big moment for me. Me talking about a pencil for 8 minutes brought me to this chair. And that's really what the book does, too. It talks about those weird little crossroads and nexuses in your life that bring you to wherever you wind up.
Yeah, and you could even talk to me for 8 minutes. See, that's all led to this interview. About your book, and again, it is a New York Times bestseller. Am I correct in that?
It is. It went to number 4 the first week. I was humbled.
Well, that's the way I heard it. Anyway, that's a bad segue, isn't it, Mike?
Not bad. And as you'll notice, Tony, the only shirt I own is the shirt I'm wearing right now. It's the same one I had on the cover of the book. I swear to God, I didn't plan it. It's just the way I roll these days.
Well, everybody's got to get this book. It makes a great gift. Christmas is coming up. Get it for everybody you know. It's available where every book is sold. And listen, before you go, I want to make an actual invitation for you to come out to Salt Lake during Sundance and be my guest at Chef Dance. We're having Martha Stewart come out and cook, and I'd love you to be on that VIP list to be pampered and fed.
You know what? I can't remember the last time I sat next to Martha Stewart and was entertaining. I would love to do that. When is it? When's Sundance this year?
Sundance, I think, is the 24th through the 28th or something like that. It's that week. But okay. If I can get in touch with you somehow, maybe through the satellite people we're talking through right now,
sure,
I will send you an actual invite and have it all set up.
Perfect. I'll give them the email. You can ping me at work.
I appreciate it. Mike, thank you so much again. It's always great to talk to you. And come on out, please, please, please.
I appreciate it, Tony. Thanks.